Welcome back to ACB Wrestling Talk, your main source for wrestling news and wrestling discussions. I am, of course, your host, Alexis Carrillo, and let's get into some wrestling talk. Big headlines coming out of Impact Wrestling last night on AXS TV as Tessa Blanchard, the undeniable knockout herself, made history by becoming the first ever knockout to become #1 contender, not to the Knockouts Championship, but to the Impact World Heavyweight Championship. And it's official. On January 12th, 2020 in Dallas, Texas, Sami Callihan, Impact World Champion Sami Callihan, will be defending his Impact World title against Tessa Blanchard. And if their match that they had at Slammiversary this summer is any indication, we're in for quite another chapter in their rivalry because, well, I believe it wasn't shown during the pay-per-view. It was more after the pay-per-view went off the air. But Callihan showed quite a bit of respect for Blanchard. And then, Callihan beat Blanchard to become #1 contender for the title at Bound for Glory. So again, these two people have been feuding. These two superstars have been feuding for since May, since June. It hasn't stopped. And Tessa Blanchard did it by, I believe, last eliminating Brian Cage, who, again, it seems that even though they did put Tessa Blanchard over, it does seem like they're just sweeping Brian Cage under the rug. It just seems that Brian Cage, well, he's not world champion now, so he's an afterthought. Hopefully they can solve that and not make us feel, or not make me feel, like, again, this is just my opinion on the Brian Cage situation, but hopefully they can do that without, hurting any other superstars. So, with that said, how do I feel about Tessa Blanchard becoming #1 contender? The thing is, Impact Wrestling has been trying to break barriers and create headlines and make history by becoming the first to do this and becoming the first to do that. For example, go back to Slammiversary itself. It was main evented by an intergender, no holds barred match between Callihan and Tessa Blanchard. And then we had Tessa Blanchard challenge for the X Division Championship at Bound for Glory, where I predicted that Impact would go all the way with Tessa Blanchard and make her X Division champion, which did not happen. And now, Tessa Blanchard is going out hard to kill to challenge for the Impact World title. Now, if you ask me, if you want an early prediction, we're getting closer and closer to late November, so it's still over a month away. I do not believe that they are going to go all the way with Tessa Blanchard. I do not believe that Tessa Blanchard is going to become Impact World Champion. At least not right now. At least not before she signs a contract extension with Impact Wrestling, which is highly unlikely because she is held in high regards in WWE and in AEW. And trust me, offers from both of those companies, big money offers, better deals than what she has right now with Impact Wrestling, are not gonna be missing come February when her apparently 2-year contract with Impact that she signed all the way back in 2018 when she made her debut at Redemption, comes up. So it's safe to say that it's gonna be hard for Impact Wrestling to keep Tessa Blanchard around, and for that reason and for that reason alone, I think that for now, at least for now, she has absolutely no chance of becoming Impact World Champion. But you never know. Again, Impact making history, Impact making headlines, with Tessa becoming Impact World #1 contender to the Impact World Championship. And other events that happened on Impact Wrestling last night, we had the Rascals. They won a tag team showcase. I believe I predicted it was going to be the Deaners because I assumed this was pretty much a #1 contenders match, and the Rascals won. And then Reno Scum being the sore losers that they are, attacked the Rascals, and then Ace Austin came out and attacked Trey, building up to their rivalry and their feud for the X Division Championship, which led to that treehouse moment where Trey's mom, showed up and said she was worried about Trey and told Dez and Wentz to call their mothers because they worry, which was a weird segment, pretty damn funny. The Rascals are young guys, are young wrestlers, are the epitome of what social media and what the generation of today are, at least in my mind. So to have, Trey's mom play that part in that treehouse, it's pretty funny. That's it. We also had Jordan Grace beating Bravo and Taya Valkyrie in a 2-on-1 handicap match, like I predicted. She pinned Johnny Bravo, like I predicted. Taya Valkyrie wasn't a big part of the match, like I predicted. RVD didn't show up. The whole effing show didn't bother showing up at Impact Wrestling. He apparently had a party or a rave or something the night before or last night, or Monday night, and didn't want to make the flight over to Impact Wrestling. So seems like we might have to wait another week for Rob Van Dam, the whole effing show, to show up on Impact Wrestling. We also had, Ken Shamrock going after Johnny Swinger after last week's dump in Shamrock's bag that Swinger partook in. Again, Shamrock is someone, to me, they bill him as the most dangerous man alive, but he is someone who should be putting guys over and not necessarily beating them down. So, again, that's his gimmick, but at the end of the day, at the end of the feud, it should be the younger guy going over. And we have this throwback throwdown next week being advertised by Impact Wrestling, which, if you ask me, might just seem like a throwaway episode of Impact. Throwback, throwdown pretty much equates to me as being a throwaway episode of Impact Wrestling. But what do you think? Will you be tuning in next week for Throwback Throwdown on Impact Wrestling on Access TV? Are you a fan of Tessa Blanchard becoming #1 contender for the Impact World title? Have you enjoyed Impact Wrestling post Bound for Glory? Leave your thoughts, comments, and predictions in the comment section below. And of course, last night, we had WWE Backstage, where we finally got some answers from the main returning figure in WWE and in professional wrestling as a whole, CM Punk. Now, given the fact that current WWE superstar and the man who bills himself as the best in the world has challenged CM Punk via Twitter for a fight, it's safe to say that Renee Young would have asked him what he thought about Seth Rollins' comments. And CM Punk was quite simple, quite sweet and to the point. He just said, "Stay off Twitter, Seth. Stay off Twitter, because sometimes it's better to shut your mouth and, just be viewed at as a fool." I believe that's what he said. I'm paraphrasing here. But, he also CM Punk also mentioned that him tweeting about either fighting Punk or anything at all is not doing Rollins any favors. And then Rollins came out and said, he responded with his own tweet with a hell of a response. Eye rolling emoji. Gotta have the emoji. Coward. So, yeah. Now, if you ask me, Seth Rollins versus CM Punk, sign me up. Doesn't matter if it's 2012, 2014, 2019, or 2021. Sign me up. I want to see that match. I want to see the build-up to that match. But CM Punk is 41 years old now. He's pretty much retired from professional wrestling. He's been out of that ring for almost 6 years, and We've seen that in the past, guys like Shawn Michaels and guys like Daniel Bryan, guys who were very good, very technical in that ring. You know, really knew how to produce a match and really could get the best match out of somebody. We've seen that in the past, that they've made the return and they haven't lost a step. I'm still asking myself, can CM Punk be one of those guys? Can CM Punk be a part of those elite wrestlers and maybe return and, you know, make it seem like he never missed a step? That's pretty damn intriguing to me. And, you know, it seems like we're not going to be getting that anytime soon because, again, CM Punk, he stated in the past he's in a position where he can finally say no, and he's okay with saying no, and it doesn't seem like they're going to force him back into WWE, especially with how WWE Creative is handling things now. Moving on to our third segment, quite a lot of backlash, quite a lot of backstage drama for the National Wrestling Alliance, where they probably don't want it, because last afternoon they debuted their brand new episode of Powerrr, their hit series that's been quite interesting to watch because they don't have entrances for their superstars. It's been pretty damn good wrestling, and finally they get to have a roster and build up that roster. They're starting to build up guys like Aaron Rex, who's returned. They're starting to build up guys like Ricky Starks, who I'm pretty damn high on. NWA World Champion Nick Aldis said it himself. Ricky Starks is a first-round draft pick, both in that ring and on that mic. I've witnessed it myself watching Powerrr. But, again, last afternoon, for some unknown reason, NWA Powerrr was, you know, taken off YouTube. Why? I mean, it was later edited and uploaded back, but why was it edited? Why did it need to be edited? Why did it need to be brought down? And the simple answer is that during a match between NWA World Champion Nick Aldis and Trevor Murdoch, Jim Cornette made some very offensive comments. Probably not meant to be offensive, but offensive nonetheless. You have a few fans going on Twitter and talking about how it's the last NWA Powerrr that they're going to watch, which obviously prompted the National Wrestling Alliance to take matters into their own hands, bring the episode down, edit that comment out of the show, and upload it back up. Again, if you want to hear what Jim Cornette had to say, you can look it up. It's all over Twitter. It's all over the Wrestling News websites. You know what? I'm just gonna say it right here, and I quote, and this is strictly, and I quote, "This is what Jim Cornette had to say during the match. Trevor Murdoch is the only person who can strap a bucket of fried chicken to his back and ride a motor scooter across Ethiopia. Trevor Murdoch can take care of himself." That's what Jim Cornette had to say. My real question towards the NWA is, don't Joe Galli and Jim Cornette do commentary live on the show, live on the taping? Because, at least from my point of view, how I've been watching the shows, that's what I've been assuming, that they've been doing the commentary as they taped the shows, rather than getting in a booth later and, you know, doing it in post-production. Now, if you go that route, that if they got in a booth and went and did commentary and then they added that in post-production, why the hell did this line air, land on the air. Why wasn't it edited? I mean, NWA Powerrr isn't live by any stretch of the imagination. Is it live? So it's taped, so you have to go over the entire show. And with the current PC culture, you have to be very, very careful on who you offend and who gets offended, because everyone gets offended by anything these days. So again, this could have been prevented before it made the air. Why wasn't it? That's something I ask the NWA right now. Why wasn't it prevented? Because if this aired live, if it was a live broadcast, I understand. But everything I've seen up until this point from NWA Powerrr leads me to believe that it is all taped. Everything is taped. So again, why wasn't it edited correctly? That's a question I am placing towards the NWA right now as of this moment. And being that today is Wednesday night, we have a few previews for tonight's episode of Dynamite and NXT. For Dynamite, we have Jon Moxley versus Darby Allin. Of course, last week, Darby Allin accepted Jon Moxley's challenge. And it's safe to say that, for all we know, that might be the actual main event of tonight's show. We also got Private Party versus Santana and Ortiz, who I believe are now going by the moniker of Proud and Powerful. The Bucks might make an appearance on that during that match. Speaking of the Bucks, Nick Jackson is going to be facing Rey Fenix of the Lucha Brothers. And we're going to have ourselves the first ever Dynamite Dozen Battle Royale. What that is, I don't know. We'll find out tonight on TNT. Chris Jericho has a huge announcement tonight on Dynamite. What that might be, we don't know. It might be MJF and Wardlow are going to be joining the Inner Circle. That, if I'm a betting man, I'm betting on that. So that's going to be what's going to be happening tonight on Dynamite. And on the other side of the Wednesday Night Wars, we have ourselves the NXT on USA Network broadcast live from Full Sail University. And just like I predicted, Brock Lesnar is defending his WWE Championship at Survivor Series against Rey Mysterio. Bray Wyatt, The Fiend, is defending his Universal Championship at Survivor Series against Daniel Bryan. And Adam Cole will be defending his NXT Championship at the Survivor Series pay-per-view against an opponent to be named tonight. Because tonight's episode of NXT will feature a triple threat match where Pete Dunne, Killian Dane, and Damian Priest are going to define the new #1 contender and who's going to challenge Cole at Survivor Series. Now, if you ask me, none of these three men have any chance of becoming NXT champion anytime soon. This is just simply so that we have an NXT title match at Survivor Series. That's pretty damn clear to me. But, it's not going to save us from two very interesting matches. Pete Dunne, Killian Dane, Damian Priest, they're in a feud between each other. Adam Cole, he's NXT champion. He's got bigger fish to fry, but he does have to defend his NXT title this Sunday at Survivor Series. So if I had to make a pick, I'd have to go with Pete Dunne winning this triple threat match tonight. Also tonight, we also have the Revival Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder facing off against Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish in a non-title tag team match. Like Triple H mentioned on Raw, the doors are open for both Raw and SmackDown superstars to come into NXT and pretty much do as they please. And we're also going to have Adam Cole versus Dominik Dijakovic in a ladder match where the winner is going to define which team is going to have the advantage at War Games this Saturday night. So, a repeat of what we had last week, only this time it's the men's War Games match. So that's what's going to happen tonight on NXT, and this has been Wrestling Talk. I've been Alexis Carrillo. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you dislike this video, hit the dislike button. That's it for me. See you tomorrow.